back to another episode of War Hero Superhero, helping military veterans and first responders transform their lives from the prayer room to the boardroom. My name is Daniel Faust, your host. We are in the superhero battle room, this time with the buttons and everything else, because the guy we got in the background deals with lots of buttons on the digital side. He is Theo Tor, and he is a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine, to an IT entrepreneur that is always a Marine. So we're going to bring him into the battle space so he can talk to us about his transformation and how he serves his community. All right, Theo, do I have you?
How are you doing, Daniel?
Doing well, doing well. So we're going to go bring the battle space to you. And first question we have for you is, what inspired you to join the military many moons ago?
What inspired me to join the military many moons ago? That's a great question. So, being truthful, I wasn't really doing anything good where I grew up, and I had failed like my first semester of college, and I was living like a country music song. You know, after I failed my first year of college, a girl that I was like, really in love with, we broke up, and like I said, I wasn't doing good things in Sacramento because at that time, if you're a teenager and if you're in the streets, you're going to be doing a lot of stupid things. And so going through all that, depression, feeling like I was hitting rock bottom, I figured, let me just go and, you know, go traveling around the world, shoot guns, fight, because I liked to, I loved to fight at the time. And I loved guns at the time. And like two of my friends got arrested. And so I'm like, man, I'm gonna get arrested if I don't if I don't straighten up. So I just went to the Marine Corps. That's what actually got me to the Marine Corps. Um, and when I went in, I didn't really understand what I was signing up for. I just knew I wanted to get out of my town and be a part of like some ninjas because that's how the Marine Corps was sold to me. Because I had the option of going to like Navy or Army or Air Force, but because I love to fight, my uncle told me, "Hey man, the Marines, they're the best fighters." He said it's like the Yale of the military, and he says they do the toughest things with the fewest people, and they're the most professional and highly trained force. So that's what got me to the Marine Corps.
I would totally agree. For my 24 years of service with Air Force, I would say yes, you guys are the ninjas, do so many different types of things, and there is the few and the proud. I agree on that too, Garth. I had a sort of not rock bottom type thing too. I didn't have as many stuff, but I'm like, the job market was horrible, and then my life was a wreck because of other trauma and whatnot. And then I got recruited because of a girl. So you lost a girl. I was trying to get a girl, and it failed for me getting the girl. And then she went into the Navy. So two different diametrically opposed things. So I'm glad that you were able to serve your country and to go over and not have to deal with any other trials in that particular regard. So from there, as being a Marine and always a Marine, how long were you an active Marine, and when did you become a veteran? What was the backstory behind it?
So I was in the Marine Corps from 2002 to 2006. I fought in Ramadi, Iraq in 2004, and I was gonna re-enlist to become an officer in the Marine Corps. But I'd been exposed to a part of the Marine Corps that I didn't know existed. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna take the skills I learned in the Marine Corps into the civilian world, and I'm gonna use that to be successful. In the Marine Corps, I went open contract. I scored a high score on my ASVAB, so they're like, this guy's a nerd. I had an African dad, and when other kids was out with their water guns and stuff, I'd have to do computer programming and like, algebra and all these math problems, and I didn't really understand and like it at the time, but it helped me. It helped me think like through an engineering process. But I graduated my boot camp at the top of my class as an honor grad, and I was able to change my open contract military occupational specialty that I was assigned which was an operations clerk, I was able to change from that to the infantry. And so I was a part of Battalion 2-4, Company E, Echo Company. And what really stuck out to me in the Marine Corps was the intricate level of planning involved to take anywhere from 4 men to platoon size of men out the gates and bring them back intact and accomplish a mission. It's high level mission planning involving millions of dollars, and the fact that they train and trust 22, 23, 24-year-old young men to do that day in, day out. Even right now, as we're speaking, it says a lot to how Marines operate. So I got the Marine Corps and I just took those skills into the real world.
Yeah, I've done 24 years. I guess I wasn't ready to grow up. You grew up a lot faster than me in that particular regard. So, how was the transition in 2006? I know the economy was doing sort of well. It was before the collapse, the recession that we had in 2008. Was it a good transition, a bad transition? If you can expand on that.
So that's a great question. That's an outstanding question, matter of fact. Um, when it came to the transition, one of the problems with Marines, and they spoke about this on the Smoking and Joking show, is we're the few and the proud. So we don't really, when we need to take a knee or when we feel weakness, as we're all human, we don't say that we do. We put up this, as Marines, we put up this front, everything's good, everything's all right. And if everything's blown up to the left and right of us, we're like, hey, these people are the problem. I'm good to go. And so one of the things that I faced during the transition is being very stubborn to accept the traditional way to enter the workforce. Options to infantry guy is either being a police officer or getting back in the Marine Corps. And I wasn't going to be a police officer. Nothing against police officers, but you know, I wasn't going to be a police officer. And I tried to go to college. I just noticed I'm like, man, I'm 23, I'm 24 years old, but I'm in here with this with this Yahoo that's 18, and I already have enough skills to figure it out. But I'm here with this Yahoo. So having a family, getting out, you think about, okay, how do I make the most money and be the most impactful? That's how you think about when you're a Marine that had leadership and you don't want to go back in the Marine Corps and you don't want to be a police officer. So I had to figure out, and it took me a little bit of time to figure out how to properly transition. But once I figured out, transition went great. We were able to open up this company, um, was able to learn how to manage going through traumatic events, like being in Ramadi, because that's real stuff that people that Marines don't like to focus on. Um, but for people that actually walked the streets and went through the explosions and saw all that trauma, it does creep back on you. So learning how to manage all that, that's great now. The transition went great. It took, like I said, it took a little bit of time to learn, but transition went great.
That's really cool. I usually don't hear that from most Marines. I don't hear that from most Army. I don't hear it from even from the Air Force, which we call the Chair Force. I'll dive it out. That's what we call it. So, so you had a good transition during that time. So, what made you pivot to serve your current community? Because it looks like the IT entrepreneur is your route, but what made you go serve? Because again, you were infantry. I mean, so that's an amazing
Yeah.
pivot. So, what did you make you pivot to that?
All right, so I don't know. I'm not trying to get canceled. I'm not trying to get canceled at all. But I believe people were born to do certain things, right? Me and my daughter was talking about this back in the day. Like, back in the day, if you said you identify with a certain population, back in the day it wasn't popular. Nowadays it's popular to identify as anything. I identify as a Coca-Cola bottle. But I believe that there are some people that are born a certain way because back in the day when it wasn't popular, those people would get the crap kicked out of them. You know what I'm saying? And still be the way that they wanted to be. Um, I was made to manage. I was made to seek responsibility. I was made to think about how to lead. in a systematic way. That's just how it's made. That's why we have the pyramids, the double pyramids in our logo. Um, we believe in small unit leadership. For my father, I'm the oldest. Got a lot of siblings under me. Got a lot of extended family that look at me as big brother, and come from an immigrant family. So at 5 or 6 years old, parents going to do whatever they want to do, and you're watching the kids. You know what I'm saying? So I've always thought on the level like, okay, how can I make this system of leadership better? when when I found out through IVMF, University of Connecticut EBV program, that they're offering like master level business training to veteran entrepreneurs, I went ahead and enrolled in that program. Now I'm a UConn School of Business grad, and I'm even going back in August. But it's all because I know that management is what the ASVAB told me I should be doing. Told me I should be an operations clerk. I was just young and had to hit my head against the wall, you know what I'm saying? You know how young guys are. I had to shoot guns and go fight and stuff. I'm like, nah, forget that. I don't want to sit at a desk. I want to be infantry. Bro, I could have been in the Air Force. I could have had steaks, and I could have had a chow hall with a chocolate fondue fountain. I've been to an Air Force chow hall before. I was in Iraq. I went to one, and you guys had waiters with matching vests. We were still eating MREs where we were.
Wow.
So I could have gone to the Air Force. If I could do it all over again, my Marine Corps buddies might be mad at me. I would have joined the Air Force, because if you rearrange the letters, Marine, you can rearrange to Airman. You know, so
Mhm.
so I yeah, I would have been an airman. Um, but yeah, that's why I serve the current community I serve right now. I understand that management in the private sector is you can track it by numbers that you put up. The United States government, they contract with a lot of different companies. At the top of the pyramid, you have your Lockheed Martins, you have your Boeings, right? And there's conglomerates all up and down that pyramid. We want to be the preferred solution provider for the United States government in whatever product or service that they purchase. Um, and we also want to show veterans there's a lane for you to do it as well. We want to be a conglomerate, but some veterans might want to do real estate. Some veterans might want to sell ammunition. Some veterans might want to sell robotic lawnmowers. Some might want to sell liquid oxygen. Some might want to sell elevator services. We we take the approach as supervision is the most important step. So we manage all these different tasks like clockwork. We show the percentage that we manage. We show veterans how to do it. If you're a service disabled veteran, we show you how to do it for free. And yeah, we just go about giving the United States government and private citizens great solutions. Whether that's solutions in, again, we've sold everything. We've had prime contracts selling IT hardware to California Department of Rehab, selling rescue equipment to San Diego County Sheriff's Department, managing liquid oxygen for federal contracts in Pennsylvania. And what sets us apart is that analytical way of thinking. It goes back to being a Marine, getting issued a warning order, crafting a patrol order from that, and understanding that you have to write this patrol order so that you and your buddies accomplish the mission, all make it back safe. So some of your buddies have grenade launchers, some of your buddies have 9 mils, some of your buddies are driving trucks, some of your buddies have machine guns. You might be taking 12 guys out, you might be taking 4 guys out, you might be going out with 2 guys, but you've got to write a plan from start to finish, managing millions of dollars over and over and over again. So we do that. We turn out proposals quickly, and we teach other Marines how to do it, or we teach other service disabled veterans how to do it for free. We teach small businesses how to do it for a fee. And yeah, I hope that answered your question. I know that was a lot, but I hope that answered your question.
So it sounds like you manage more than just being an IT entrepreneur. You're basically managing resources and multiple different government lanes and empowering them to set up whatever they're selling to either the government or the small business. So that's your current community then?
Yes, it's a whole process. My current community is a small business community. It's a whole process, and I encourage as many people to form a business as possible. And it's not altruistic. I'm not doing it just in the spirit of being an entrepreneur. It benefits me the more small businesses there are, because the Small Business Administration gets set aside a certain percentage every year from the contracting dollar. If they don't use that money, they're not going to have that money available for the next budget cycle that goes through. So it helps me to bring what they say, a rising tide lifts all ships. It helps me to bring other people into the fold. It's just that we don't do it for free unless you're a service disabled veteran. We have a nonprofit called Vet 365. We offer business development sessions from Monday through Friday between the hours of 11 to 1300 Pacific Standard Time. That's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. California Pacific Standard Time. We offer 4 30-minute sessions where it's a curriculum of 12 different sessions to take you from not having a company at all to having a company where you're submitting proposals. And we've got, I think to date, we've got 12 companies started already, 4 are still actively contracting. Um, we have a team and partner that we just wrote a $5.5 million winning proposal for. And the turnaround on that was like 14 hours. Again, leveraging next generation IT and that Marine Corps project management style to quickly turn out what we call proposals, but we see it as patrol orders. So yeah, we just do it at the cyclic rate because these contracts is always coming around. We done seen contracts for teaching martial arts to a special forces unit in the Midwest. We've seen contracts for replacing bleachers in Gwinnett County, Georgia. We've seen contracts that are 13-year span in 12 different technology areas to provide defense logistics technology solutions as they issue performance work statements. We've seen non-competitive contracts where some departments are like, yo, bring to us an industry disruptor, some technology disruptor, and we're going to fund it and we're going to help you take it towards commercialization. And we love those type of contracts because it's not competitive in the sense of me against a different company. It's competitive in the sense of how good can I present an innovative idea. So we encourage small businesses, get involved, get involved. July's coming up. Um, it's the last 2 quarters of a traditional fiscal year, right? So there's going to be a mad dash to spend all this money that the Small Business Administration has set aside on the table for any small business. And most people think small business, yeah, that means I have to, be in a wheelchair, or that means I have to be like a woman from some protected group. No, there's different types of set asides that are administered on the federal level as well as on state and local municipal levels. Learn your set aside. um, you have to do what is it, a cost value proposition to see if pursuing that set aside is going to translate into dollars. And we do all that. We counsel small businesses how to do that because it's a method. It's a method from start to finish. But we're encouraging people get involved now. We want as many businesses as possible to get registered, and we'll hold your hand. We'll walk you through it, no matter what stage you're in. If you open a business and you don't have a website, we show you. Normally, a good website is going to cost you $10,000. Um, you know, book sessions with us. In a few sessions, I think in about 4 sessions, you'll have a website. It won't be a fully functioning e-commerce website, but it'll be a website to where when a government contracting officer looks at your website, they, because they're risk adverse, will feel like I can give this guy a lot of money. Because if they look at your website and it's not encrypted, or if it's not designed, or if it doesn't have current branding, or if it doesn't clearly state who you are and what role you occupy in a contract, you're not going to get that contract. Um, so we sometimes we prime contracts, sometimes we subcontracts. The main thing is we write winning proposals, and we put small businesses in the game to get that money. I know that was
That's
long winded, but Hopefully
No,
that helped out.
I think those
Yeah.
were golden nuggets, and definitely for people, because that is a hard nut to go over and crack. And if you crack that nut to go over and get prime and subcontracts from all different types of government, I know a lot. There's billions of dollars that are on the table, and I remember one I
Yes.
applied for myself. It was for marriage and family and stuff. So because we do from the prayer room to the boardroom, and there was a Navy contract that said some type of marriage model. And I'm like, I went to go look at it and I applied, and I called the POC, and they said, hey, well, we wrote this specifically for this type of training and everything else. And then I contacted the training company, and they said, oh, well, that contract's written for us. And I'm like, so I wish I would have known the ins and outs, because
Hmm.
I'm like, it was kind of messed up in a sense. It says open contract for this, but they wrote it specifically for that particular vendor. And I was like, all right, I'll just have to go back to the drawing board. So, I mean, I've been subprime on certain contracts, and it's huge. You can make some serious bank, like as a contract trainer.
Yes.
I was making $600 a day and loving every minute until 2018. 2018, that's when the government contracts like shut down for a bit, and I lost like tens of thousands of dollars of contracts, and I had to go back and repivot my life. So if I would have known a guy like you, could have been like, oh, I could figure out how to be a prime myself, and then I could be making the big bucks. So
Let me piggyback off of what you said about it's a tough nut to crack, right? Um, I tell people all the time, and we coach our clients that when we open up in business in 2018, we opened up as an IT, just provisioning virtual machines, doing cloud architecture on Amazon Web Services, and trying to figure out how to get into the government market. 2020, we got into the market. We got certified in 2020. It took until August of 2021 to win our first contract. And we won our first contract um, for $76,000. We were able to comply with all the terms and conditions to be able to resell two solar powered robotic lawnmowers. you know, um, and I tell people this: it's a tough nut to crack for a reason. If it was easy, everyone can do it. If it was easy to be a Marine, anyone could do it. If it was easy to be an infantry Marine, anyone could do it. Remember when we started out and I told you I'm a ninja? We us as Marines were trained to be ninjas. So there's ways to collect data. There's ways to reverse plan. There's so many ways to plan a mission and then to execute your mission. The great thing about the set aside market, when it comes to set aside market, it's not traditional sales where you're cold calling, doing all this other stuff. You still have to market yourself, but because you're a set aside, you have emails coming into you. Hey, we want to know if you can provide this. You have these proposals that come out, and when the proposal comes out, it tells you exactly what it wants. It tells you exactly what you need to do to qualify to submit a response. You just have to know how to identify um, what that request solicitation is asking for. And if you can do that, and if you have the capabilities to meet that in competitive pricing, submit a response. Um, you have to be data driven in an industry like this because you said something about going back to the drawing board. When you go back to that drawing board, if you don't have any business insights, then you're really starting from fresh. So we know in an industry like this across the board, you win 20% of what you put out. So we track weekly metrics on how much we're quoting. And so far this year, we've written $7.5 million worth of quotes, and we've closed on $5.5 million. So that's interesting because every time we submit a quote, it gets better, it looks better, it reads better. There's um there's more evidence being presented to the person that's reading the contract that I can give this guy millions of dollars and they'll finish the job. So it's it's how you have to respond to them. to be able to get these contracts. But yeah, you can be anybody. You can be non-minority, white male, right? If you fall under the size standards that the Small Business Administration has set for your industry, you're seen as a small business. There's some guys that do manufacturing, and because they have less than 500 employees, they're seen as a small business, and they're pulling in 60 million a year. So there's so many ways to get into it, but you need a good administrative manager or management consultant to coach you and walk you through this industry. Traditionally, management consultants work for companies like KPMG, Accenture, Deloitte. They fly all over the world and they learn about different industries quickly, and they're able to deliver next generation solutions to increase industry's bottom line. So that's what we do, but we do it focused on the set aside market right now.
And I think this is just wisdom that will definitely get leveraged in our shorts and our reels and everything else, because this is just so much wisdom. We have time for a couple more questions.
Mhm.
So as you're going over from the marine world now to going over and working in winning contracts for small businesses and everything else, what's your secret fuel when the pressure and tough times comes? Because competing for that many contracts, there's got to be some pressure and some tough times.
Okay, I love that question. Daniel, I'm not a super religious guy, but I got a grandma that prays over me a lot. And since I can remember, she's always told me that I'm destined for greatness. And I truly believe it. I've had the pleasure of living out dreams that I've had before. I'm no longer married to my. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Daniel, you still there? Yeah,
Yes.
somebody was giving me a call. So before I met her, I had a dream about her, and I had a dream that we had a bunch of kids and we lived in California, and I lived out that dream. So I've had another dream where I'm off the coast of Africa. My mom, she still lives in Africa. I've been separated from her since I was, I think, 1 years old. So she lives off the coast of Africa, and I had a dream that I was on my yacht, and I took a helicopter from my yacht to go pick her up, and we came back to my yacht and we sailed around the coast, and I was showing her the different projects that we're managing for the United States government along the coast. Projects having to do with waste management, projects having to do with building infrastructure to take medical gases to rural populations. And it would just so happen that the projects that we prime or subprime right now have to do with that. And we're also prepping for international contracts with like Africa CDC, to build infrastructure for medical gases in Africa. So it's like everything's aligning right, and I've seen that clear vision. And hey, as long as my eyes are open, that vision is prevalent. So I know to do that, you have to be operating on a certain level. Um, in our company, we have a mission statement, we have a vision statement, and we have a purpose statement. Our mission statement is to be the preferred solutions provider for the United States government. Our vision statement is to be a multinational conglomerate operating in the trillions in every industry. And our purpose statement is twofold. First, to get NCOs that are coming out of the military, give them meaningful employment that pays them well and challenges them to grow in an industry they want to pursue. And then second, we want to change legislation with the United States government to where when you come out of the military as an NCO with an honorable discharge, you have a bachelor's in leadership. Just so you don't have to start fresh with some high school grad to go back to school, and you're thinking, man, it's not no little. this, this. So that's our mission, vision, and purpose statement, and yeah, that's what we march towards.
So it sounds like your mission, vision, and purpose keeps you going when pressure
Yeah,
and tough times come. Our
yeah.
last and final question to wrap up is three superhero tactics. So you can either go back and visit yourself when you were that young Marine or high school person, or
Mhm.
maybe some clients that you go over and coach. What would you give them as tactics to help them to go over and thrive compared to survive?
First superhero power to survive is a sense of humor. Knock knock.
Who is there?
Interrupting cow.
Oh boy, interrupting cow.
Moo!
Yeah, I know that old one.
You got to be able to laugh at yourself. Life is gonna kick the crap out of you sometimes, and as Marines, we got the crap kicked out of us. Growing up in Sacramento, got the crap kicked out of me. You've got to be able to adapt and overcome. And the better your sense of humor, the less seriously you take yourself, and the more hope you have in your future. So the sense of humor is going to be a key. Is going to be a key superpower. Second, brotherhood. A sense of brotherhood, because if you look at like all the Marvel superheroes and stuff, what makes them so dope is they have a cause to fight for. And I told you why I joined the Marine Corps. It wasn't really patriotic, to tell you the truth. I just, matter of fact, when I was going to the Marine Corps, one of my friends are like, "Hey man, when you come back, you need to teach us that stuff that you learned so we can do it in the streets." And I was laughing, but what made me love the Marine Corps was my brother to the left and right of me, and that's what made me go to Iraq. I had an opportunity to stay behind, but I chose to go. Um, and that's what you need, because if you don't have a strong sense of brotherhood, you're not going to be able to get by, because your brothers help you get by, you help your brothers get by. Then the third superpower, faith. Faith. And faith is very important, because if I didn't have faith that this company would accomplish its goals and missions, I wouldn't open my laptop. I wouldn't craft responses. I wouldn't meet with team partners. I wouldn't market my company. I wouldn't produce shows. I wouldn't give back to service disabled veterans. I wouldn't be here. My actions are guided by the faith. And when I tally the hours, I put a lot of time into what I believe is going to happen for my future. So those three superpowers: humor, brotherhood, and faith.
Awesome, and great summary on that. So I want to thank you, Theo, for going over and joining us and sharing your wisdom and the multiple ways that you're going to impact the world and everything else. So I'm going to give you like another minute or two more to close out. Tell us a little more about the website that's on the ticker, and then if you have a good quote to close us out, and then we'll go to credits.
Outstanding. So again, my name is Theo Tor, owner of Artias. We are administrative management and general management consultants. We contract in numerous different industries as either prime contractors or subcontractors. We help your small business increase your bottom line and make millions in the set aside small business industry. You can book sessions if you are a service disabled veteran. You can book sessions through our nonprofit, vet365.org. Follow us, vet365, on Facebook. You can also go to our website and book sessions that way. If you are a small business, or if you want to become a small business and you're not a service disabled veteran, you can go to artiusit.com/bookings, artiusit.com/booking. Again, the name of our company is Artius, Artius. We say supervision is the most important step. And our motto is artful, skilled, complete.